What is up everyone, welcome back to Mainly Movies, the channel where we talk about, well, mainly movies. So welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's new film, Nope. After a family tragedy, brother and sister OJ and Emerald are in charge of the family ranch. After some time, they soon realize there is something else going on in the sky above.
You're different.
Pops! Pops!
I'm talking to you.
So that's all I can really say without giving away too much. Ever since Us came out, people have gotten really kind of obsessed with Jordan Peele's film, so I will refrain from spoiling anything, so this is going to be a complete spoiler-free review. First thing I want to say is Get Out is a very well executed movie, and it is a pretty suspenseful movie, although I don't think it is as good as a lot of people say it is. I think it is a little bit overrated in my opinion. However, I don't really like Us. I think Us falls very flat and just wasn't executed as well as Get Out. However, Nope is noticeably bigger and is one of those movies that was just a very, very enjoyable cinematic experience. Jordan Peele obviously looked at some of the biggest films in Hollywood, like Spielberg films, and kind of recreated those because it has that same sort of feeling, just very big and bold cinematic spectacle. From the way the camera looks and the camera moves and the music stings, it all feels really good, and it's kind of that nostalgic movie feeling. And I'm very glad that I saw it in the VMAX theater, which is the biggest theater in my area, not in my city, but the biggest theater in my area. So I'm very glad I got to watch it in VMAX. Like I said, this movie is noticeably bigger, and in my opinion it works really well, and I think Jordan Peele handled a big project really well. The two main performances by Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer are really good, although I think Keke Palmer definitely steals the show. Her presence on screen is great, and every time she's just on screen it's just such a delight. Daniel Kaluuya is quite good as well, although his performance just kind of resembles his sort of same performance in Get Out, which is, it's his kind of own style, and it works. You know, Jordan Peele has obviously that director-actor relationship with him and knows what he wants, and Daniel Kaluuya does a pretty good job in this movie. Steven Yeun is in this movie as, I would like to say, an elongated cameo, because his character doesn't really go anywhere, which I'll get into in a minute. But for the most part, all the performances in this film are pretty good. The IT tech guy that they get, that actor was really good, and same with the cinematographer, although the cinematographer wasn't in it as much and didn't really have that much to do, and has a really confusing scene as well, which I won't spoil. However, I do think this movie is far from perfect. It's nowhere near as good as it could have been if the movie was done a lot simpler. I think there was too much adding in rules and things like that to the movie, and characters explaining things about how things should work, and it kind of gets a bit messy in my opinion. And the second act of this movie is quite messy, and the pacing is completely off. 1 minute it will slow down a lot, and then the next minute it will pick up. In the scenes where it does pick up, it is really exciting, and like I said, it's a very good cinematic experience. But then when it slows down, it kind of drags you out of the film. Now, I had a person ask me not too long ago that I criticize second acts a lot in films. That's because me personally, I'm a very hard judge on second acts. If a second act isn't done well and the opening is very good, it takes away that opening, because the second act is where understand where the movie is, where the movie's settled in by the second act. So you should feel comfortable at the second act, or you should still feel engaged. Whereas in a lot of movies, if it doesn't have a very good second act, it's not going to keep you engaged into the third act, which is the finale. And if you want an example of a very good second act in a movie, the movie Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, has probably one of the best second acts of all time. It is better than the first act, in my opinion. The opening still takes its time to get in. I love the opening, but it still takes its time. When you get to the second act, it is a very rich and intense second act that keeps you engaged throughout the whole film, and that movie is 3 hours long. So it definitely keeps you engaged, and that's how a second act should be. It should be engaging, and it should feel consistent, just like the first and second act. It should have the same sort of pacing. So I am a harsh critic on second acts, and this movie has a weaker second act. But with that being said, the opening and the ending were pretty good. The ending was probably more cinematic than the rest of the film, which I really liked. It had a pretty decent finale, and I enjoyed the third act. However, my biggest complaint with this film was Steven Yeun. Now, I'm going to talk about his character without spoiling anything, so again, you don't have to worry. His character is like a child star. Now he owns like this theme park attraction in the desert. And that's all I will really say without getting into too much, but I feel like his character was given too much for him to not do anything for the film. They explain him being a child star via flashbacks when they could have done it in one scene in his office, which happens earlier on. They could have just done it there, and we would have got the same information that we did seeing it through a flashback, which ended up giving his character more than what we needed. Don't get me wrong, Steven Yeun is a good actor. Minari is a very, very good film, and he does a good job in this movie, but his character was given way too much for someone who didn't need this much screen time. And if you have seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about with his flashbacks. It leads nowhere, and it's very, very pointless, and it's very distracting throughout it, especially when you're watching the movie and all of those scenes happen and you're expecting it to tie in with the main plot of the film, and it doesn't. It just feels out of place, and it was just kind of like Jordan Peele's dark humor put into the film. At least that's how I saw it. But other than that, I did enjoy Nope. I would probably never watch it again, and I still think Get Out is Jordan Peele's best film, but he did tackle a big cinematic spectacle very well, and it was a good theatre experience. Anyway, I am going to give Nope a 5.5 out of 10. I do think the movie is just slightly above average, but still isn't, you know, anything to rave on about. Anyway guys, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. So stay tuned, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.